Welcome back into Daybreak. In his address to the nation last night, President Barack Obama said that he would put off a military strike in Syria if they surrender their chemical weapons. This morning, we're joined by U.S. Congressman Tim Griffin from District 2 in Arkansas to discuss his thoughts on the president's speech. Congressman Griffin, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Daybreak. You've made your stance already against a military strike in Syria. What are your thoughts on the president's new plan and his speech overall last night?
Well, I didn't really hear anything new in that speech. I've been following all the public statements, and I received a classified briefing this past Monday. And so there was really nothing new that I hadn't heard before. And so it didn't change my mind. I have said that the president, in my view, has not laid out the end game and how we would achieve that and what we would do in the aftermath. He's not made that case to members of Congress, in my view, and he hasn't really made it to the American people. And it is not sufficient to talk in broad platitudes or broad statements, particularly when you are briefing Congress. We need to know what the plan is. And I think there are a lot of Democrats and Republicans who are unconvinced. In fact, there are a lot of us who would tell you that we had more questions and more doubts after the classified briefing than we did before.
Congressman Griffin, whenever you look at what the president was saying last night and some of the other, recent polls that we've heard, what are you hearing from your constituents about, what the military action would be or what the diplomatic solution would be? What are you hearing from your constituents right now?
Sure. Well, I came out relatively early in this process with my concerns about military action, but we started to get a wave of emails and letters and contacts generally after that. We've had, I think getting close to 4,000 contacts now in my office, and about 85% are opposed to military action. I can tell you, as a representative, as someone who works hard to represent his constituents, a member of Congress better have a really compelling reason if he's going to go against 85% of his constituents. The good news here is that I am in agreement and have been pretty much from the start with my constituents, but it's overwhelming. This is the single most unifying issue that I've seen since I've been in Congress. Liberals, conservatives, moderates, independents, everyone in between are pretty much unified in opposition to military action in Syria.
You said earlier that you've seen some classified documents that helped you come to your decision to avoid this military strike. Based on what you've seen, I know it's classified and you can't get into too many details, but based on the decision or your stance on this and what you've seen, is it more of an avoidance for more U.S. military action in the Middle East, or is it inconclusive evidence that Syria did strike their people and the rebels with chemical weapons there?
Well, let me just say this. I was briefed by Secretary Kerry and Secretary Hagel and other administration officials, Susan Rice, that you may remember her name from the Benghazi mess. But I would just say that I am not convinced, and many other members of Congress are not convinced, that the president has a plan for what he talks about wanting to do. And it's sort of give me the authority and just trust me argument, and trust me on the details. And Congress is not going to do that. The reason that the votes have been postponed is because the votes aren't there. It's not because of this diplomatic action in particular. It's because the votes aren't there. And I think, to be frank with you, you can put me down as highly skeptical of any kind of deal with Russia. Russia played a significant role in getting chemical weapons to Syria. So to now say, well, Russia, you're going to be the independent third-party authority here to make sure Syria behaves is like giving a fox the keys to the hen house. I mean, I just have to be skeptical. The reason that we are now even entertaining Russia is because Secretary Kerry made an off-the-cuff comment, and Russia said, "Hey, we'll step up," and so it gave the president a chance to postpone what he didn't want to do and what he had gotten himself into. So I think this has been mishandled, and I think the president's still got a long way to go before he convinces the American people.
All right, Congressman Tim Griffin, thank you so much for joining us this morning here on Daybreak Live in D.C.